Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today, we have the American Blade Works Model 1 V4, version 4. You may remember, just very, very recently, I did a review of the V3. I loved a whole lot about it, but there were some issues that I had. We'll talk more about it as we get in here. And the one-man shop this is, the owner, maker, everything, Michael Martin, reached out to me on Instagram, and he handled it exactly the way that I wish a lot of makers would handle it when they get a slightly less than stellar review. I did love so many things about it, but the action was not good. And he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm working on a V4. What would you like to see on it? I'll send you one." And I told him what I wanted to see. And a week or so later, this showed up. I am putting this up on July 29th. They are going to be available on his website, the V4, AmericanBladeWorks.com. It's listed down below in the description. They're going to be available on July 1st. I think a few have already snuck out. He did put a few up last week here and there without much fanfare, just to get a few more out into people's hands. But the official launch is July 1st. They are going for 185 in G10 or micarta, or 235 for this carbon fiber version, S35 VN. But yeah, he reached out and just said, "Hey, what would you like to see in it?" Gave him some ideas. He made some last minute changes. It wasn't just me. I think there was another reviewer that was talking to him as well, and another customer I know for sure was. And what came out is a vastly improved knife, and a really, 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 really good one. Spoiler alert, there's going to be some gushing involved in this. This is a really excellent EDC knife. One change may still be coming, and we'll get to that when we get going. So your production one may have one little difference than this. All right, but first of all, before I ramble on too much longer, let's do some specs and some size comparisons. I buried my spec sheet. Got to dig it out here. Sorry. Put my keyboard over top of it. You have, line this up, these are half-inch squares. You have a blade length of 3.25 inches, an overall length of 7.9 inches, blade thickness 0.125 inches, handle thickness of 0.5 inches, and a weight of 3.5 ounces. Do some size comparisons here. Let's start off with our usual Spyderco sandwich. You have the full-size Paramilitary 2. Yes, those are sharp dress knives, custom scales, before anybody asks below. Sharp dress knives. And the Para 3, represented here by the lightweight. You can see it sits pretty smack in the middle of those. We will bring out your Benchmade full-size Griptilian. And the full-size Bug Out. So pretty close in overall length to the Bug Out. And we're going to bring out a fairly unique sandwich, but I think this is some aspects of how this company runs kind of remind me of this company, and they're in about the same price range. So, because I think this is probably going to be, unfortunately, I hope he can keep up. Maybe he'll be able to, but we'll see. I think once this gets in more reviewers' hands, people start raving about it. They may take a bit. It is a one-man shop, so we'll see. Hopefully he keeps up. But this is a TRM Atom and the TRM Neutron. If these sell out really, really quickly, I apologize. That happens sometimes when I give something a good review from a small manufacturer, but it's just a good knife. So you can see it's closer in size to the Atom than the Neutron. And lastly, I have them here, and two other knives that are kind of in the same sort of price range. We have the Adam Purvis Progeny V2 and the Progeny MR, which are fairly close in size, but the MR is just a little bit smaller. All right, let's talk about this knife. This is one thing that I specifically told him when he asked, when Michael said, "What things would you like to see changed?" I said two things do not change: the ergonomics and the blade. The blade, yes, 35 VN steel. It does have kind of a unique coating on it, and I've seen some comments saying, "Oh, that's a rough coating. It's gonna slow down when you're cutting through material." Okay, maybe if you have a micrometer built into your wrist, but or tensionometer, whatever, built into your wrist, I don't see it. It slices really, really well. It's 15 thousandths behind the edge, razor sharp. Just about the most perfect sharpening choil, and it still has a pretty good tip on it. Pretty thin blade stock, but it still has a really good tip on it. This is just EDC perfection for a blade. It really, really is. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Would I like it in just a regular satin or stonewash? Sure. But I don't think the coating is really going to be something that you notice slowing anything down. I just really don't. I love it. I just love this blade. So slicey. Perfect, just simple drop point blade. I have zero complaints about this blade. It is 9-year perfect for the kind of stuff that I like. And ergonomics still, yes, he did keep the ergonomics from the previous version. Let's bring the previous version out here for a moment. We're going to talk a lot more about it when we get to the action. But here's the previous one with the aluminum handles, which those aren't around anymore. But yeah, you could see that we had a bit more difference ergonomically. You had these horizontal milling marks, but it feels just as good. I've only held the carbon fiber. I have not held the G10 or the micarta. You will notice on the carbon, I didn't message him at first because when I first took a glance at it, I first got a box, I'm like, is that just not finished well? No, that's actually meant to be in there. I wouldn't go as far as calling them ridges, but it's meant to be just to give it a little bit of texture so it grips in the hand just a little bit better. And I got to say, it's a good idea. Works very well. No hot spot from the clip at all. It's a very, very comfortable knife ergonomically, and I didn't want to change a thing. On the previous version, there wasn't much of a cutout for the lock bar. Now there is, so you can get to that. And if anything, that little cutout for the lock bar may have made it even better ergonomically. I just feel a bit more locked in on this than I did on the original one. There is some jimping on the lock bar, but it doesn't bother my fingers at all. Just great knife ergonomically. Works very, very, very well. Now, as far as the carry goes, that's one thing that might change just a little bit. So this one that I have, my V4, is pretty much identical, same clip as you saw on the V3. My only complaint was in normal jeans like this, it works fine. It goes in and out of the pocket pretty well. A little bit of a hiccup because there's not much ramp. The ramp is definitely going to change if you order one on the first. Yours will have a bit more ramp on the pocket clip, so it will go in and out a little bit easier. But I also said just the clearance on it. I do wish there was a little bit more clearance because if you're wearing thicker jeans, like I often wear like 511 tactical jeans or something like that, it won't seat. It won't seat all the way down in. So you may see a little bit of a change in the pocket clip because Michael reacts to stuff so fast that it's entirely possible that by the time they come out on July 1st, they're going to have a whole new pocket clip. He's like that quick reacting to stuff. But this is not the only knife I have that problem with. The aforementioned Progeny, too, like on really thick pants, it just won't seat. It holds in fine, but it won't seat down all the way. So this is by no means the only one, and he is going to change that ramp a little bit for sure. So if you get one on July 1st, it's probably going to have a slightly different shaped ramp on the pocket clip. So that's all good. Now the action, that is where we have to really compare to the old one. So this is the V3, which I loved so much about, but the action was just in two ways not great. The deployment and closing and stuff. So the detent was just really weak. I mean, yeah, not good. It was really hard to access the lock bar. The lock bar in this was steel, and as far as I can tell, not a very like well heat treated steel. It seemed like it was really soft. It was super easy to manipulate when I was trying to adjust the lock bar and get that out of it. It did make this wonderful noise though when you're losing that because the aluminum's gone, but I love that noise when it did deploy. But yeah, because the new ones are just G10 and micarta. They don't, or carbon fiber, they don't sound quite as good, but man, it's titanium now. You have a titanium liner that's also a longer liner than that one was, and yeah, the D10 on it is perfect now, just perfect. Also drop shut a little better. Gotta give it a little bit of rest. It's not totally drop shutty, but this is a pretty lightweight blade. But Yeah, you can access that lock bar now. Hint of lock stick, but nothing that would bother me a whole lot. I've had this thing now for over a week, and it's definitely working its way out quickly. So I think in another, couple of weeks of regular use, it would be completely gone. But it's just kind of that lock stick that makes a noise, but it doesn't really require any extra effort. But really love the action on it now. It's not quite as drop shutty smooth as, say, a Skaha. I hate to keep bringing up knives that are hard to get, but I'm just kind of worried that's going to happen to this one. But oh yeah, love the action on it now, a whole lot. So yeah, that's my overall opinion is yes, good job. It went from a knife with a lot of potential to, in the span of less than a month. I know that this was for sale for longer than that, but in my time of having in less than a month, to good knife with potential that has some problems, to yeah, this might be in my top 10 of the year. It's that good. I really do like it. Only little problems I have is that pocket clip, and we'll see what he does with that. And yeah, and when it's in the pocket too, I forgot to mention. I mentioned in the original review, and the V3. I'll mention that down. I'll link that down below. Yeah, it's a little bit of a pocket pecker, but yeah, I love the look of it. Love the ergos. Love the blade. The guy is great to deal with. Michael just could not be a nicer human. A lot of really good touches. Like the internal screw for the pocket clip. Just. This is going to be a very, very, very good knife. All T8 hardware, the T10 for the pivot. But yeah, you need to try and get one of these on July 1st if you can. Like I said, $185 for the G10 or the micarta, or $235 for this carbon. Honestly, I could have flipped a coin between the carbon and the micarta. The micarta ones look pretty cool too. If you go to his Instagram, which I'll also link down below, you can see pictures of all the scales and stuff. I don't know if he has any pictures of any assembled V4s. Maybe he does, but he definitely has pictures of all the scale options. Lots of G10 options. This carbon and I think maybe a couple micarta options. I can't remember if there's only one or two, but yeah, definitely go check that out. This is a cool knife and a company to keep an eye on. I really think I'm not the only reviewer in the world that's going to be raving about these guys. So keep an eye out. If they sell out fast, I'm sorry, but it's one of those sorry, not sorry kind of things. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.